evening. Welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. Today we have Mark. Mark is the guitarist from Jag Panzer. How are you?
Good, doing good. Nice, crisp, cool day here in Colorado. So doing good.
What's the temperature there?
Wow, let me look at my watch. I was going to guess, but it's on my watch, 37.
Wow. I'm in New England, so I'm not even that crisp. I should be because it's New England. Probably like in the 50s, I think, right now. It's been
Wow,
a
warmer
really
there than here. That's interesting.
very, very mild. Mild. Anybody that's listening, this is old people talking, right? This is some old men talking about the weather because it really matters now. Yeah, seriously, it's been like so far it's been a very mild winter. I guess it's been awful everywhere else, but February's coming though, right? And that's when it gets
Yep.
real ugly. So you have been in this band. You guys have been the band been together for like 1981. So that's
Yeah.
is that mind blowing or what? That's just
Yeah. It's a lot. Well, three of us in the band have known each other since we were 6 years old.
what?
Yeah, they were in. I had moved back. I spent my very early years. My father was stationed over in Europe in the army. So I came back, I think, when I was 5, and the other guys were 6. And yeah, our singer for Jag Panzer lived five houses up the street, and our bass player lived one street over.
That is bananas. I
Yeah,
mean, the odds of that.
we came back in the summer, so I met him during the summer, and then in school, I think I was a kindergartner and they were first graders.
Wow, that's crazy. And over the years, obviously, you guys hung out and musical
Yeah,
influences. But the odds of all of you guys having the amount of talent, because there's a lot of people that have friends that want to start bands with them. Not everyone has the talent to pursue that, or in the group of all the friends to actually all have that talent too. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think it. Yeah, we were definitely fortunate.
Yeah, it was really great. So in the early years, you guys were actually a different name, and you started off, and actually the you've seen, which is interesting. I want to talk about a little bit is you've gone through so many changes in the music field. Like it's crazy the way it was like tape trading, and now it's like Instagram. I mean, it's just gone quite the
Oh
gamut
yeah,
for you.
yeah, completely different. I mean, I was heavily into the tape trading scene. I would buy well, I'd get the Sunday paper after my dad would read it first. So
Yeah,
I'd get the paper and I'd look for whoever had cassette tapes on sale. So I'd go buy, you could usually, I think they came in a 10 pack or a
yeah,
12
like
pack.
TDK
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, I did the same
Yeah.
thing, man.
TDK or Maxell, whichever one was on sale. I'd buy them and I'd figure out what kind of mixtape I'm going to put together that week. I'd hook up 2 decks, clean the heads, get my mom's typewriter, type the labels, and just
Right?
dub all day. I'd do that all day Sunday, and then Monday I'd head to the post office and mail off a whole round of tapes around the world. Did that every week.
That is that is so funny. I mean, a lot of people do. I never did the mailing thing, but I used to make my own tapes and copy them and trade them and everything else. I mean, it was a little different back then too.
Yeah.
Um, I think tape trading at the time really was much more supportive of music because it wasn't cutting into the bootleg industry, was not cutting into the finances of the artists. And let's face it, mostly cut into the pockets of the radio record labels anyhow. The artists weren't really getting the good end of the deal anyhow. But to that point, though, it really supported in the early years. It was very much like punk. It was like do it yourself, which
Yeah.
is kind of like I think now, like how much are you involved in your stuff now? Though I'm sure you're still involved in doing a lot of promotion, a lot of boots on the ground, talking to people like
Yeah.
me in a podcast. This is very kind of punk in a way, where you're doing what you love. There's no money in this. This is
Right.
pure love. I love your band. I love your music. I listen to it. I want other people to listen to it. It's just this a different way of doing it now.
Yeah, we do it yourself until we're told to stop. I mean, sometimes we're sending out things and sending out posters or sending out, and the record company will say, hey, we're going to handle this in this one area. So if you can back off. But unless we're told to back off, we go in full do it yourself mode always.
Well, that's probably the best way to do it anyhow. I think
Yeah.
there's a smaller market. And what I think a lot of people have learned is that doing a smaller market thing has actually been more financial success for a band than doing this broad shot of trying to get everybody, you know, work your people, do your thing, be you, you know, that. So like when you guys started out, you guys were very strong and you guys, I think to me, I knew you guys early on. I'm 52. So like pretty much been following you most of my life. but you guys never broke huge, but you guys have always had like your peers respect. No one's like, it's funny because like some bands that get dogged, like most people will still to this day online will be like, yeah, they're a great band. They're a great band live. Check them out. Good albums. I don't see a lot of people dogging you guys. You ever notice that? Is like you guys have a pretty good
It
like
does happen.
rep. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like if
Yeah,
you
we
go
do
on
have
the
a good rep.
websites, they will tear people apart. You're one of the few bands I don't really see people, doing that. So
I think,
it's cool.
yeah, in some ways, it's just luck. I think we just luck, and in other ways, we've really put an emphasis on treating people right. The fans, promoters. We really try to put on a good show. We put a lot of effort into our releases. I mean, we have a minuscule budget to work with. I mean, much tinier than everybody else. So
Mhm.
we got to compensate in other ways. So we try harder.
And so everybody after this, go to the website, support the band, get the music. We'll jump before I like to jump around a little bit, but let's talk about music and new music. You've been working on something. What we got? No, now you got a signing. Let's talk about that so people that aren't aware are a little up to speed where you're at now.
Well, we signed a new record deal a few months ago with Atomic Fire Records, and Atomic Fire is the old people from Nuclear Blast.
Oh,
And
really? Nice.
yeah, and yeah, they've been on my radar for decades. I remember we did a tour with Hammerfall, and they were on Nuclear Blast, and they had people at every tour stop promoting the band. I mean, they were working so hard to promote the band, and we never had that kind of promotion. So I thought, if I ever get a chance to work with these people, I'm going to jump on it. So we actually signed with Atomic Fire, and right out of the gate, they've been great. They're doing a lot of promotion, doing a lot of work for us. So we have a new album coming out. We actually finished the new album. We wanted to do this a little differently. So we wrote, recorded, finished the new album, had it completely ready to go before even chopped with labels. Because I don't know, you got to make each record unique. So any little thing you can do, in my
Mm-hmm.
mind, any little thing you can do to make a record unique is going to be a bonus. So this record's a concept album. We did it on our own. We actually spent more on this than any record we've ever done. It was very ambitious, and we shopped it to 10 labels and got 9 offers.
Really?
So that
Now, I'm not
was,
surprised about you as a band. I mean, it's not about talking about that. It's just
yeah,
the industry is just like getting any kind of offer from anything nowadays is
yeah,
really phenomenal.
yeah. We had talked as a band, and we thought, if we can get 2 or 3 offers would be
Yeah.
big. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about all this, and I think the album's. I don't even know when it's coming out. Sometime spring, I'm hearing. I don't know. I should probably know, but I don't
You
know.
might want to know. Yeah. The people look forward. In the meantime, you've got a lot of albums that people can go back
Yes.
and check out. Um, where do you think people should dig in? So hopefully we'll have some old fans. Well, hopefully we got some new fans here. Where should a new fan jump in to check you guys out? Like, because you've had a few different singers and a few things. Luckily, you got your
Yeah.
back the same singer now. You're kind of really just like you're back on like your. It's like a big lap for you guys now. You've learned, you've grown, like everyone's together. It just feels like it's really good now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've established who you are. There's no, everyone knows who you are.
Well, that's a tough question, though. Which one would I suggest? God,
For
that
a
is
new
so
fan,
hard. I would probably listen to something because we have so much of the fan base that said, "Oh, it's your old school stuff is the best. It's old school, old school." But then I talk to people that say, "No, no, your newer stuff." So I guess if someone was gonna just brand new check us out, I'd probably tell them to go to mid period
okay.
and
Make it
like,
easier. I'll make it easier. I'm sorry to be sub you. How about this?
okay,
One person who likes old school music, one person who likes newer stuff, and then one who's just kind of even new to like rock and metal. Would that
oh
be
yeah, that's a
okay? So that
great one.
way, that's 3 different types of people that should cover
Okay,
a lot.
oh yeah, much easier
All
question.
right, all
Yeah,
right.
old school definitely ample distraction, absolutely.
Okay, I hear
The
that.
record we did when I think I was 18 or so when we recorded it, and that's considered a cult classic, which I'm very proud of, and so it's really cool for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, old school people check out Ample Destruction. People that like newer metal, any of our last 3 albums, I would say, it just anything off of any of them. Probably Scourge of the Light is what I would go for.
Okay.
Um, Anybody just new to rock and metal, I would probably go with our mid period, something off of Mechanized Warfare, I would say.
Okay, this is pretty good. I wouldn't be, yeah. Besides the first guess, I wouldn't even have an idea myself. I'm like, well, they're like, who are they? I'm like, well, first off, the name's a lot of fun. It's really fun to say. The band name is really fun to say, which already gets points. But I'm like, I really don't know because it's hard to tell, like, you know, where people go. Because what's interesting and I love about a band like yours is over time, you don't change in a way, but you also do have different sounds and different growth, like a Deep Purple and like in
Yeah.
Metallica, and like a lot of bands that have stood the test of time from the '70s and on the '80s on and still record. Sometimes the members change. Sometimes they come back. It's like a family. You love, you hate, you love, you hate, but it's a family. And the music changes a little bit, but it always still has that core of what you were. It's not like all of a sudden you did like a rock album, and all of a sudden like it's wow, they're a rap band now, or they're like new metal. It's just who you guys are is who you are, but it's just different flavors.
Yeah, I think we always have our early influences, which, our early strongest influence would have been Rainbow when we were in high school, and
Nice.
then Black Sabbath with Dio. Probably those two. So basically, what Ronnie James Dio was singing on, that was our biggest influence when we're learning to write songs. So I
Really?
think I think that's who you need to look to when you look at somebody's influence that's a songwriter, is who influenced you when you were learning to write. And I really mean learning to write. I mean, I was listening to people and taking notes in a notebook. Oh, they did a bridge for 8 bars. They did this. I really wanted to learn the craft. So I was doing that with a lot of different styles of music, just trying to immerse myself in
Mhm.
songwriting. And yeah, the biggest influence definitely Rainbow to Sabbath with Dio.
That's great. I don't usually hear people say like as an influence. Everyone loves Ronnie just over everything,
Yeah.
but to say Ronnie Sabbath was a big influence early on for them, just because there's so many other bands at that time. Because there's Sabbath too, the first version of it. You know what I mean? I love
Yeah.
it all. So I love Ronnie. I mean, I was lucky enough to see him perform live before he got sick. You know, did you ever get to play with him or meet him?
Oh yeah, yeah, several times. Yeah, he was always a nice guy. We played with him, I think, a couple times on festivals, and yeah, I got to meet him several times. He's always a great guy, and his voice. I mean, I'm
Right?
a huge fan. Yeah, love it.
What a powerful voice. I don't know if people never saw him, if they can find some live stuff. He had the most powerful voice. I don't even think he had a microphone in some venues. He was so strong and clear. Insane.
Yeah, I remember when he first joined Black Sabbath on the Heaven and Hell tour. Tickets came out. They played our city here, which was shocking because usually bands would play, like an hour and a half from us. So they
Right.
played in my city. So the bass player John and I skipped school to buy tickets because tickets went on school day, and we got our tickets and come home, and I'm watching the news with my parents, and they say, coming up, teenagers line up for Black Sabbath tickets. Oh my God. So I had to act like the color was off on the TV so I can jump in front and block the picture, because I would not have gone to the show if my parents had seen me skip school.
Oh, that is
But
hilarious.
oh my, what a great gig. That was, the gig was just, you didn't know the concert was going to stop. They're just kind of playing intro music and people are milling around. And then instantly the lights go off within a split second, a pale green light on Dio's face. And then he says, generals gathered in their masses. Then the whole building lit up in flashes. It was so cool.
He was that was him, and of course, obviously, Brian Johnson were like the first time for singers to come into bigger bands
Yeah.
and fill the shoes without the well and without the and this is actually we can talk more about related to you too as a band. When a band's established as a singer, people aren't always so forgiving about other
Oh,
singers
yeah.
stepping in. Yeah, I'm sure you know about this firsthand yourself.
Yep. Yep.
So like knowing and being a fan and seeing like, well, I like Ozzy or whatever, and I like, Bon Scott, but Bon Scott passed and Ozzy's just it didn't work out at the time. You know what I'm saying? Life goes on. These are also great singers. Fantastic, actually. They help bring it on as healthy because when two healthy musicians are together, like want to do it, it's gonna produce good music.
Right.
Um, what happened? Was how did you guys do with the challenge yourselves going through that? Was it
Yeah, it was tough. I always want to move forward. I just mainly consider myself a songwriter, so I always
Mhm.
want to write songs and move forward. And yeah, when Harry left because he had a chance to join Riot, and we were huge Riot fans, so him being my friend was much more important than losing a singer. I just looked at it as one of my best friends my whole life has a chance to join this band we love. So there wasn't any bad blood or anything. And so
How old are you when you made when they made that grown up healthy decision? Because that's so healthy and positive, man. That's awesome.
so we had to find another singer, and we did two other albums with different singers, and both guys did a great job. They were great guys, and they did a great job. But I think my songwriting is so centered around Harry sings the way Harry sings
Yeah.
because that's who I grew up with. I
Right.
just walk up to his house and we get our guitars, and so yeah, I think they're good records, and the singer did. They certainly did a better job. I think they probably would have done better with somebody other than me writing their songs, because I'm proud of what I did with them, but my stuff is a little catered exactly to Harry's voice.
But that's fair. I mean, how would the fans though?
The Distant Alliance album, everybody hated. I mean, I just got so much hate mail. The Chain of Command album is kind of split. Some people love it, and I still get people that love it. And we play some of the songs from it live, and it goes over really well. There's always a lot of people that only wanted to hear Harry in the band, and I understand that. That's fair. But yeah,
It's
Chain of
hard.
Command was pretty much split. Distant Alliance was universally panned.
Really? 'Cause I kind of there's some good spots in that. I liked it. But back then I didn't have the internet to hear everybody's opinion. So to me,
Yeah.
it's also looking back, talking to you about a time period where you can't go online and have a certain bunch of people, beating you up or ragging about this is bad. They want to do the singer. You know what I'm saying? So it's like interesting to hear how you got it, like in, in letters.
Yeah, well, I like to tell people you can't complain both ways because I see people complaining about music online. That's not a real band. That's not a real band. Well,
Mhm.
Jag Panzer is very much a real band. This is not Mark Bridy's Jag Panzer. Everybody gets a decision. So Distant Alliance got a different sound because we had two guys in the band who are very much into much more modern heavy
Mhm.
metal. They were very much into bands like Pantera and things like that. So them being in the band and contributing to the sound and contributing to the songwriting just made the record sound different.
Panzera. If you
Yeah.
look at that, I like it, but and this is funny because people say like, you'll have a band and a band will come out and they'll get like you being the guitar player, you write a lot of the songs, the lyrics, the music, whatever, and then people love it. And also the rest of the guys in the band go, I want it because well, if you write the songs, it's that's where a lot of the money comes from because there's copyright and
Yeah.
that's the thing. A lot of guys just
Right.
don't care because they just want to tour, or whatever. And this is happens to a lot of bands, and this is also more to everyone out there listening. And then the dynamic changes. This is in some bands, and then also the rest of the guys go, "Oh, I want a piece of that." And then also the next album doesn't sound the same all of a sudden. They're like, well, "What's going on? They're selling out this and that." It's not the same thing. Now, you don't have to have the same person writing, but if you put new people in the mixture, it's going to change the formula. It's going to change the soup. It's
Yep.
going to change it, and it could be good or it could be bad or it could just be different. And as an artist and as a fan, you want to ultimately, I believe, respect what an artist wants to do. I respect that Metallica did Lulu. I can't listen to it, but I'm also not going to bag them for trying something different and creative.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I got Frank Zappa here. I love Frank Zappa. I do a lot of shows with Dweezil. There's a few albums on there, and even I mean, Dr. Dweezil talked about it. I can't listen to like Thingfish. There's so, but good for you. It's not me. I can't. I got nothing to compete. So to that point, when you brought in new people writing, it's you continuing to be an artist. So you can maybe not have to listen to it, but it's really when people get crazy, that's the worst part. Um, and the second part of that is a lot of good songs and songwriting. I think teams. That's usually when they do the best. Like it's the most comfortable. They feel like the most open, the most this. And I always say, well, it's like Jagger and Richards or McCartney, whatever. And those are the two
Yeah.
easy icons, right? I mean, because
Right.
heck, right? Let's think of a song that they didn't write that didn't stink, right? But or Page Plant. But then look at every other rock band. It's the guitar player and the singer. There's usually a core members that are writing, or Iron Maiden. Even over the years, it's kind of changed a little bit, not just Harris, but you and Harry were the core members of the duo that created that sound.
Yeah.
The Lennon and McCartney of the band, so it's kind of come full circle again. which had to feel so great when you guys got back together again and started writing again. You know, when grunge came about, how was that affecting you guys? How'd you guys stay? Because a lot of bands blew up and you guys survived. You know, I know there were bumps in the road, but you guys still didn't, cash in.
Yeah, I'm just personally never interested in tailoring our sound to trends. I would have bands here in town, guys, friends of mine would talk to me and say, well, we're going to try to work in a more grunge sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always of the opinion, do what you want in your own band. And I don't care what other bands do, and it's your business. But for me, I'm only comfortable writing the kind of music that I write. I'm sure I can listen to a grunge song and my ear can pick up what chord changes they're using, and then I could
Right.
start to detect trends. And so I could probably, write a reasonable facsimile of a Nirvana song, but it wouldn't be from the heart. It
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be. So I just never let trends. There's always trends in music. I just don't let it influence me, or I don't care to let it influence me.
Has it gotten easier or harder to write songs? Do you feel like you've gotten technically better? Of course. I mean, you're a fantastic guitar player. But
Oh,
when you were younger, though, but when you were younger, I'm not saying but for your guitar playing, I'm saying, but when you were younger, you didn't feel like you heard all this music that's out there. Like, is it in your mind now, or you've written so many albums, like you don't want to retrend yourself? Like you do anything all the time. I'm like, did I do something similar in this some podcast, or do something at work similar? Like you
yeah.
and you are still in entertainment, you don't want to feel like you're dishing out that same album.
Oh yeah.
How's that feel for you for songwriting challenge?
Yeah, that's definitely a concern. I think for me, songwriting gets harder. You don't want to repeat yourself. You don't want to rely on old habits. And we've got a new lead guitar player in the band. Well, he's been our touring guy for 3 years. So something conscious when we were writing the new album is we have to carve out a space for him
Mm-hmm.
to give his own playing. We encourage every new guy we ever get in the band to be themselves and to bring their own sound and their own personality to the band. So that took me a while with songwriting, is to adequately leave him enough space. And he did a fantastic job filling that space. I mean, it was absolutely A plus.
That is good to hear. Now, especially that answers my other question as far as being a guitarist and leaving room for somebody else, because you've always been the main guy. Do different times, whatever changes, it's been you. So for you to be like, yeah, I can take the back seat and let somebody else come in, and it's awesome. It's really good. You know.
Well, we're always a two guitar band except for the first EP. But yeah, the other guy we have is always a far better technical player than myself. So I don't have any ego attached to leaving giant spaces on the record for another guy.
What is the process for songwriting now for you guys?
Well, we changed it up a little bit for the new record. The new process is I would do a demo,
Mm-hmm.
write the complete song. I'd have I'd write guitar parts, bass parts, rudimentary drum parts. I wouldn't waste my time writing intricate fills, but I know how to write for drums, so I'd write the kind of beats I'd want to see and how I want to see it structured. And I would do the demo completely myself in my own studio, and I would have some ideas for vocal lines, but I would hide those. I would only bring them out. It's like break in case of fire. This is break in case we need these vocal lines. So the way we do it now is I send them to our drummer, who's sort of become the musical director. And then he'll come back and he'll say, well, I'm going to do this a little differently in the drums, and I'm going to extend this a little differently. So him and I will work out a demo, and he will lay down real drum parts. And at that point in time, we'll give it to our vocalist, Harry, who is going to lay down a lyrical content, and we'll usually have a discussion about the lyrics. And then he'll lay down a vocal line. And if we give him the green light, he'll lay down a studio quality vocal line with some occasional backing vocals or anything. And then we turn it over to bass and lead guitar at that point in time. And everything is filtering through our drummer as his role of musical director.
That's really cool. I've never heard a band do it like that. I mean, they may, but I've just never actually heard, especially the guitar player and the drummer coordinating that.
Yeah.
Is it
And
how long have you done that for each albums? Have you done it any other albums prior?
Yeah, we've actually been doing this for about the last 7 or 8 albums, except our drummer, this new album, he took the much more active role in being sort of the hub in all the
Okay.
material. So in the past, right before this new album, some of the albums we actually wouldn't hear the real drum parts until we were recording the album because he was just sort of inputting. So we wanted to change that. So that's why we moved him into the musical director role.
Oh, that's really interesting. I went to the recording studio before earlier in my career, and so the geek in me really likes to know the songwriting and the production process also. And listening back and thinking back, listening to the albums now, because after we talk, I'll go back and I'll listen to it again. I'll be like, all right, yep. After taking everything you've given and going back and thinking about it more and processing. So I'm super excited about the new album. What's it called? The Hollowed?
The Hallowed, yeah.
Cool name. Are you sharing the concept at all? Is that top secret or?
Yeah, it's it's a different concept. But the first thing we decided is what we didn't want to do. We didn't want anything political, and we didn't
Mhm.
want any type of spy intrigue or any Mission Impossible or Jack Reacher or Bond or anything like that. Um,
Reacher.
so and this is where everybody in the band would give you a little different answer. What I wanted is I wanted a really old school adventure story like a Ray Harryhausen film when I
Mhm.
saw one, like a Seventh Voyage of Sinbad or Jason and the Argonauts or Clash of the Titans or one of those. So I wanted something like that, a cool adventure story. So what the concept is it's a frozen apocalyptic world's frozen and just very inhospitable, and you have a group of 5 people and they've trained animals to work with them to either do surveillance or hunt or provide security, and they're looking for this mythical place called the Hallowed, that they don't, a place of warmth, they don't even know if it's real or not. So they're looking for that, the group of the people with the animals. And the beginning of the story, the animals are very much on board with the people. As the story goes along, the animals start to get their own ideas of how things should be done.
What an
So you,
awesome concept.
yeah, so you start seeing a split. In the meantime, you run into some unusual creatures in that environment. There's a creature called, they're known as the Jaw. They're similar to a hyena, but they can stand upright and attack and pounce down. So you actually hear them on the record. They have this really creepy howl. You have a creature they call the Swarm who lives in they're almost like a giant bat, and they live in these old abandoned skyscrapers. So yeah, it's basically an adventure story of this group of people and the animals trying to get to the Hallowed.
That
And
sounds
yeah,
awesome.
we have a companion comic book,
That's just going to ask you right there because that sounds like it should be a comic, a book, a movie.
and the actual album lyrics are all written from the point of the animals. The comic is written from the point of the humans.
What?
So you can listen to the album and look at the comic and see what's going on, but it's like, whoa, whoa, wait, that perception is a little different on
Yeah.
this one event.
Who came up with this concept of all this? The double ideas, the double perspectives, the
It was our drummer and singer had the initial concept, and then we all started talking about, and we were all had a group chat online, a private chat, which ended with like 9,000 messages in it. And I'm being completely serious, over 9,000 messages. But every day it was like, well, what happens in the story? And, some of the people in the band were just going, tell me what happens next, where other people are contributing ideas. And then the whole idea came together over about 6 weeks. And it was mainly the drummer, myself, and Harry who finally formed the whole story and concept.
wow, there might be some writers in you guys too. There might be some books or something.
It was fun doing the comic. I have fun sometimes just jumping into things. So I had no idea how to do a comic. So I wrote the comic storyboard and I did some sketches and I started auditioning comic book artists. I probably looked at about 40 guys and I hired somebody and gave them some sketches and then contacted a printer. Hey, can you do a comic book? Yeah, here's what we need. So yeah, that was a big learning experience. But the comic book came out, I think, in October, and Yeah, it's half gone now. I actually quit selling it for a bit because it was taking so much of my time packing up the comics, driving them to the post office. But yeah, half of them are gone now, even before the album's out.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I'll have to check it out then before it's too late. Um, that's usually not what I'm on to, but that sounds really incredible. The fact that you started doing a comic and just went into the selling comics is just also kind of really kind of crazy. Uh, well, so a lot of this concept, a lot of this would also help probably was during this downtime, right? During COVID,
Yeah,
that gave you guys a little more room to think of concepts, take your time, mix it up,
yeah, work
write a
on
comic.
yeah, and work on t-shirt ideas and things like that. I had another artist do because this I was searching for artists who does cool monsters. And as I found a guy, he was great. He's a young guy. I think he's like 20. And where is he at? I think he's in Indonesia. I'm not sure. He's a great monster artist. So I had him do the Jaw and the Swarm. So we've got t-shirts and everything. And so yeah, the downtime let me do all that stuff that we kind of neglected in the past that we probably should have been doing, because
Mhm.
people always ask, why not more shirts? Why not this? So we're on top of it this time.
Now, hopefully, you can keep up with it, right? In the future.
Yeah, I mean, I know I did one day of shirt sales last month. Yeah, that went crazy. And I have to tell people, you got to realize that I'm here myself bagging these up and writing the labels and driving them to the post office. So you're gonna have to give me a few days before I get everything shipped.
Right. I mean, and it's a good problem to have too, because
Yeah.
you're in control of your merch. And
Yep.
and one thing I say a lot to people, if people hear me say it a lot, I apologize, but it's something if you're new, a fan of the band, when a band goes to a club or a show, usually they usually get like 20 to 30% of their merch sales. So the band even
Yep.
loses money on top of having put money out on the shirts to begin with and helping someone to sell the shirts
Yep.
and the gas in the trailer pulling the shirts behind them. So if you can buy a shirt or merch from an artist online, on Facebook, at their website, whatever they're selling it, the artist gets the profit 100%, you know.
Oh yeah, it's our
and
biggest
and,
source
and
of income.
support the artist doing that. That's the best way to do it. I'm not saying don't buy it at a concert. If you're there, you're there. But if you have the opportunity and you can choose, buy it from the artist directly.
Yeah, agreed. And that, if you want to, yeah, if you want to help the artist, with kind of get along with their success and help them move forward, that's absolutely the best way. Buy them direct.
Mhm. And if they're coming, see them, because they might not come back again. We've learned if anything should scare people, is how COVID came about and changed things.
Yeah.
Don't and you can't be like, oh, I'll see him next time. Well, guess what? There might not be a next time because maybe it's not the fans. It's not the economy. Is not worth it for them to stop in your town, or something could happen, or health, or whatever. If you like a band, if you can do it, support them. Go to the show.
Yeah. And we really have little control over where we play. I mean, we've got two tours. We've got a tour coming up in about a week and a half. And then we've got another tour in August, and both are European tours. And people are asking, when are you coming to the US? Well, that's a big task because you've got to coordinate dates all across the US. And so you've got to make it all work. You can't cherry pick. I mean, I
Right.
love playing Cleveland. It's like my favorite place to play in the US, but I can't just say we're going to play Cleveland. I mean,
The
there
tour
has
of
to be,
Cleveland.
yeah, there's got to be maybe a Pittsburgh show around there or Chicago show. I mean, it's got to be all coordinated. So it really isn't up to me where we play.
And it's hard for an artist because in Europe, metal's always been pretty much solid in a lot of good
Yeah.
places. In the US, it's picky, and you need to travel and pay for gas and make it financially worth it every single day. So there are spots that aren't strong for metal,
Yeah.
and it hurts travel, and it hurts the cost of the band, the production, and everything else. And that's just things people don't think about. And that's why I just say, please, if they can do it, go support them,
Yeah.
sell their stuff out, buy other stuff, you know.
Yeah. We did a US tour right before COVID, and yeah, it was a successful tour for us, but man, doing it was, I got a hold of a hotel chain and just said, can I get a corporate rate if we book in every city? So we did that. We didn't take a crew with us. So
Mhm.
we set up all of our own gear, our own drums and everything. We drove ourselves. Hunted down the cheapest place to rent a van, and yeah, and it ended up working well. But yeah, it's tough on a band
It's a
nowadays.
different hustle. And it's funny. I was talking to a guy in a punk band, and he did the same thing. as a gold member or whatever, one of the hotel chains.
Hmm.
And then he's talking about, he's like, I got tickets for the Yankee Red Sox games. He goes, I just got a vacuum cleaner. And the idea of a punk guy getting a vacuum cleaner from his hotel deals is like the funniest thing and the best thing to me, because you're working a system, you know?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
new world.
Everybody band. Yeah. Band members always ask me, "Hey, Mark, you a Hilton member?" Yeah.
Yeah.
You a Marriott? Yeah. What about this rental car company? Yep. I'm an Advantage member, and yeah, you have to do that. I mean, every buck saved can take you to another city.
Mhm. That's crazy. And they used to be like trashing hotels. Now it's like, which hotel is going to have the best deal for me?
Yeah. Yeah. Which has free breakfast. I mean, that's
Yeah,
huge for us.
that's it is. I want to thank you for taking some time today. I want people to check you out. Um,
Oh, thank you.
well, I don't know how many people on my audience knows who you are, but I hope they do. That's why we didn't go too deep into the music, into other stuff. I could have geeked out, but I don't want to lose anybody. I wanted people to get excited about who you are as an artist and a person, you know?
Yeah, I've always, I think we're fairly unknown, actually. I think that I'm always, even in this day and age, at my age, I'm always running into people. I ran into somebody at a party, a couple months ago that's a big fan of Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and never heard of Jag Panzer, and then listened, and then got back hold of me. Wow, this is great. And he went and
Yeah.
bought the album. So, I mean, I can't ask. That's really cool for me.
Well, that's what it's all about. I mean, I know there's other shows that people can really, I could have gotten into your other music, but it really wouldn't have been helpful for people that aren't aware of who you are. You know,
Yeah.
it's later on. Maybe we can get you back though once your album comes out. I get to geek out and dig into it. We can talk some more
Yeah, that'd
about
be
it.
fun.
We'll break it down a little bit and push the album for people to check it out. Okay. Hi, man.
Appreciate
I want to
that.
thank you for being on the show. This has been the best.
Oh, yeah, this was fun. I liked it.
Thank
I had
you.
a good time.